Turning now to a new HBO documentary on the story of Abu Zubaydah, an alleged associate of Osama bin Laden, currently detained in Guantanamo Bay. After 9/11, Abu Zubaydah was the first CIA detainee subjected to enhanced interrogation techniques, now recognized by most to be torture. Here's a clip from their trailer.
FBI and CIA agents thought they had nabbed a diabolical al-Qaeda mastermind. Abu Zubaydah has never been charged with a crime. He was imprisoned in the secret CIA unit called Strawberry Fields, as in forever.
Circumstances around Abu Zubaydah's detention and issues of national security and state secrets is currently the subject of a Supreme Court case, with justices hearing oral arguments in October. Meanwhile, Zubaydah has been held without trial or charges for 20 years. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal, who talked with acclaimed director Alex Gibney on his new project, The Forever Prisoner.
Talk to us a little bit about Abu Zubaydah and why this for you, maybe personally and professionally. Why was he a choice for you to focus on?
Abu Zubaydah was the first high-value detainee to be captured and interrogated by the FBI and then the CIA. And I was particularly interested in this story because it had been a beat I had covered for many years. And I had, in 2007, I did a film called Taxi to the Dark Side about the U.S. torture program. At the time, I was, that film was one of the first to kind of glimpse the role of the CIA in devising and inventing that torture program that, ended up spreading into the military. But it was very unclear at that time exactly how that got started and why. And for many, many years, the CIA did a very good job of either keeping it secret or steering another narrative. Finally, I sued the CIA and was able to obtain the testimony of an FBI agent named Ali Soufan and also some documents. So finally, I could tell the story.
You argue that to some extent, the global war on terror stems from a failure of intelligence, both of our intelligence agencies and ourselves as citizens, in our refusal to listen to anything but what we wanted to hear. How does that translate to what we're dealing with even today, for that matter?
I agree. And I think it started down this path. And in a way, it's kind of this story is a very dark metaphor about that process. Torture gives you only what you want to hear. In other words, it's not an interrogation method that is designed to get at the truth. It forces the person who is being tortured to say whatever it is that will make the torture stop, which usually is a kind of a false confession. And that, I think, is precisely what happened with the CIA, but also to some extent with us. And that's why we became comfortable. I believe a majority of American citizens still believe that torture is warranted in some instances, even though it gives us false information.
What were some of the truths versus what he was originally brought in for, what he was originally captured for and tortured for?
Well, look, the FBI and the CIA and the American government had every reason to want to interrogate Abu Zubaydah. He had a lot of information. He wasn't the number 3 in al-Qaeda. He wasn't even in al-Qaeda, but he was a facilitator that worked with al-Qaeda and knew a lot. In fact, under the rapport building techniques of Ali Soufan, the FBI agent, they discovered the identity of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and discovered that he was the mastermind behind 9/11. So Abu Zubaydah ended up giving a lot of very good information. So why was it that the CIA felt that they needed to go further when he was clearly cooperating? Well, there was something that they wanted to hear that they weren't hearing, and that was details about an impending plot in the United States, which he was never able to give because he didn't know it.
What were some of the tactics that were used on him?
Waterboarding, sleep deprivation, extreme sleep deprivation. He was put in a coffin-shaped box for days at a time and allowed to defecate on himself. He was thrown up against the wall many, many times. It was a series of brutal techniques which the CIA got legal authorization to use. Most of us would consider these techniques torture. The world considers them torture. In fact, in any other circumstance, the United States considers them torture.
You used some of Abu's drawings to depict what he went through. How important was that to this documentary? It's almost like in his own words, except it is way more graphic than that.
Abu Zubaydah can't speak to us, but he can speak through his drawings, which he did at the behest of his attorneys to try to give some visual sense of what happened to him. Now, I might add, there was a complete visual record of what happened to Abu Zubaydah. All of his interrogations were videotaped, including all of the waterboarding. But in the wake of the Abu Ghraib scandal, some operatives at the CIA, including a woman named Gina Haspel, who later became director of the CIA under Trump, destroyed those tapes, destroyed evidence of possible criminality. So we can't see those tapes. As a result, we're left with Abu Zubaydah's tapes, which in their own way are a kind of poignant voice of what happened.
You say you were never able to talk to Abu, but do you still feel a connection to him? And are you able to relay that connection, if there is one, to the viewer in this documentary?
I do feel a connection to him, and I do communicate with him in a roundabout way through his lawyers. I think the most important thing to reckon with here is it's fair to say that Abu Zubaydah is not Hollywood innocent. That said, one of the things that this film does is to show that Abu Zubaydah was very much a human being. And the very principle of the Geneva Conventions, and indeed the rule of law, is to basically say there is no them, there is only us. All people are equal, or supposed to be equal, under the law. And so in that sense, I have a deep human connection with Abu Zubaydah because I wouldn't want to be treated the way he was treated.
President Obama at the time, referring to these CIA officers that were involved in Abu's case in torture or interrogation, he refers to these people as patriots.
I think that the word patriot and patriotism is a problem only in this sense. Patriotism can't excuse crimes. Just because you're patriotic, it doesn't give you permission to do terrible things. The end does not justify the means. But the people who are considered patriots are the ones who prosecuted this illegal program, not the people who stood up and said, we've got to stand up for what is right. So that's the problem. I mean, it's all too easy to say CIA bad, FBI good. That's really not the story here. What you have to dig down into is actions. What actions were right and proper, and what actions were either morally wrong or illegal. If America is going to talk the talk about democratic values, then it has to walk the walk, which is to say we have to observe the values we claim to aspire to. We have to live up to our own hype. If we don't, our future's in peril.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.